So for many years, people used to ask me how to increase their wave knowledge and improve their wave selection. I used to say, really, the only way to do it is spend time in the ocean. I've actually changed my view on that now. I've really broken it down into the key elements to improve your wave knowledge and improve the waves that you catch during a session. So tip number one, and this is a real nugget. Waves come in two different shapes. An overview of the waves, the two different shapes. The first one is waves that are oblong shapes. Okay, so they're straight on the bottom, straight on the top. They tend to be closeout, so those waves break all at once. Waves that are triangular shapes, that's when they've got a peak, and then they peel from the peak and taper down the wall of the wave in a right-hand direction and a left-hand direction. Triangles are the waves to catch, oblongs are the waves not to catch. So when you're checking the waves and then you locate where these triangles are breaking and you paddle out to where they are, you want to position yourself in front of the apex of the triangle, the peak, and then you catch that wave, and when you look down the line of that wave, the line going from next to your head here all the way down the line needs to be going from high to lower, because that's the side of the triangle, and that needs to be tapering off, because that's going to enable you to get speed from the peak and ride away from the peak down the wall. Now if that wave was straight, it's going to close out, so the tapering wall is what you're looking for. Whether it's a light wave, a sound wave, or an ocean wave, they bounce off things and they refract. Okay, so let me break that down to you. When waves come in from an ocean storm, from a low pressure system into a bay, they don't just come and break on the shore and then disperse. They come into a bay and they refract off the cliffs or the rocks or jetties or piers, and then they bounce back off them. And it's quite subtle, but if you can notice those cross waves coming across the beach, or those angled waves connecting up with an incoming wave, then they create a corner wave. Now that can be either a really radically shaped wedge or a really subtly shaped wedge, but they're a wedge. And that cross wave and the incoming wave produce a wave that's twice the power of a normal wave, twice the speed, and if you can harness that, then you're going to get a fantastic ride. So look out for cross waves. So the critical key and skill with wave knowledge is predicting where a wave's going to break. And the fundamental of that is that a wave breaks in a depth of water that is roughly half its own height. So if a wave is traveling from the horizon towards the shore and it hits a lump in the ocean floor, it's going to generally make it topple over from top to bottom, and then it will peel each way in a perfect scenario. So if there's a stack of tins of beans like you get in a supermarket, and that stack was moving along a conveyor belt and it hit a lump in the conveyor belt, it will topple over. The skill for you is to locate where those shallow areas are at the break that you want to surf, at the beach or at the reef, where those most shallow areas are, because that's where the waves will break first. That's where you need to position yourself, and that's a key learning for wave knowledge. Okay, so locating the best waves on the beach. There's a real nugget here for you. So it's an age-old trick that I picked up. The best way to do it is to find the best bodyboarder in the lineup and then go and position yourself near them. They're going to get the best waves, and you can sort of benefit from their local knowledge and their skills. So let me reflect on an experience I had the other week. I was in Indonesia running one of our bodyboard holidays, and I came upon Mike Stewart, unbelievably, at a break. I immediately just shadowed him, and then I found that after he had a wave, lo and behold, there'd be another great wave behind it. That's the ultimate example. So find that shredder and then surf in their wake. Okay, so this is a bit of a different one. Wave selection comes in different forms, and by that I mean that you're looking out to sea to try and find where the best waves are. And those best waves might be easy to locate, and they might be easy to locate for everyone, and as a result it might be really crowded on that peak. Okay, but then down the beach there might be a less crowded peak which is a little bit less quality, but you might make the decision to go and surf that peak because it's got less people on it. So that factors into your wave selection. You might want to get 50 waves that aren't quite as good rather than say 3 absolute gems. Have a think about that when you check the conditions. So a huge consideration with bodyboarding good waves is the tide. You need to be making sure that you're visiting the beach or the reef at the right tide, and that's really, really important, whether that works on an incoming tide or even a drop-in tide, or you could be bodyboarding at a spot, getting really good waves, and then all of a sudden it just like turns off as if somebody's pushed a button. That's usually because the tide's moved off the shallow point, and therefore it's got a little bit deep and the waves aren't breaking as well. So what do you do in that situation? You reevaluate. You decide whether you're going to get out the water and wait for the tide to get better, or maybe go to a different break or a different area of the beach. Knowing about the tide and getting that information prior to hitting the water is definitely going to help you with your wave selection and result in you getting a better session. The more you get into bodyboarding, the more you're going to get obsessed with the wind direction. Most breaks in the world love an offshore wind, so for the wind to be blown from the land to the sea keeps the waves nice and clean, smooth faces in an orderly fashion. The wind can be onshore and that can blow the waves to bits, not so good, okay, but some waves even like a side shore because it blows into the barrel, so it keeps those barrels open. So a bit of wave knowledge, bit of spot knowledge, ask the locals, read up on it, that's how you're going to find out. There's some bays that have got big high cliffs, so when it's really strong offshore, you can get in the shadow of the cliffs and they're protected. It's all about learning the spot, and that's going to increase your chances of getting the best waves. I guess my overarching bit of advice in regards to wave selection is you can massively improve your knowledge of waves by simply watching waves break. So if you can get yourself a high vantage point overlooking a beach and just really try to observe what's going on in regards to where waves are breaking, try and determine why that is, where the surfers or bodyboards are getting the best waves, can you see any refractions, are there any points that look to be making the waves peak because they're shallow, or if the wind's making the waves break in a specific way. Those learnings are going to go in your head and really affect your decision when you're in the water. So spend that time watching the waves, have a coffee, enjoy those moments, and it's really going to improve your knowledge. I've loved talking about waves today. I hope that they're going to help you get some better rides. If you could do me one thing, that's subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, maybe comment, tell us what you think. That's going to help us improve the videos going further. Catch up soon.